It's winter, and you can now get almost anything you need for the coldest months of the year delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a ski slope delivered, but you can get dish soap delivered. Sunshine, that's a no. But a bottle of wine, that's a yes. A snow angel, sorry, no. But angel hair pasta, Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol and select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pop, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
This episode is brought to you by Abercrombie. Build your fits of the day with Abercrombie's newest denim drop. Here's where to start. Abercrombie's 90s straight jean goes with any shirt from tees to sweater polos. Super versatile. Their loose and baggy jeans are more trend forward, so you can grab those and go out with your friends. Abercrombie's denim fits come in a range of washes. Build your looks around Abercrombie denim. Shop online or in store.
Welcome in, everybody, to our February mailbag episode of the podcast. We put out a plea on Discord and in the Patreon. We got a ton of questions we're going to try to get through today. We will see how many we get through. Some of them will be real short, so we'll try to get through as many as possible, but I'm sure we will waffle on about some of them for a while. So thank you guys for submitting questions. Thank you for your support on Patreon, the reviews you guys leave on the podcast feed, all that stuff. It really helps us out. We are going to sort of try to split content between the public feed and Patreon throughout the off season. There's going to be a small portion of this show that will go onto the public feed to help plug the Patreon. And so when that pops up, those of you that are Patreon members don't necessarily, have to listen to that because you'll have already listened to it all here. But just so you're not like listening thinking there'll be something that wasn't here. It's just going to be like the first few questions. So I guess without any further ado, Johnny, we got like 24 questions, so let's dive in.
Can I just put like a lovely disclaimer that I was meant to be very prepared, and Shane sent this lovely list of questions like 2 days ago. We normally get like a few questions. This week we got loads, and I was like, right, there's some smart people in our Patreon, which is good. But it's also like you can't just treat them like morons, so I need to prepare. I haven't prepared, so I've read them. And if I'm like really stuck on some cap stuff, I may just say I'll get back to you in the Discord. But I'm looking through them. I reckon I can get through most of them. If there's any like extremely if I need to be really prepared for any of them. So this is gut feeling, which is always risky. So if I say something stupid, it's very, very likely on this show.
This is no notes, Johnny.
This is no notes, Johnny, to another level. This is 24 questions with no. It's like turning up to a job interview and not preparing. Are you randomizing them, Shane?
Yes.
What's the vibe? All right.
Yes, I randomized them, so here we go. Question number 1. This one comes from Andrew. He said, you are Howie Roseman. I got to be honest, I already disagree with the premise. I am not Howie Roseman, but I'll play along. Would you rather spend money and trade draft picks for top talent? And he gives an example of Myles Garrett, but that was in parentheses, so not necessarily, don't get too fixated on Myles Garrett specifically. But would you rather spend money and trade top draft picks for top talent to maximize our window for the next 2 to 3 seasons at the cost of the future? or continue to develop players through the draft and signing low-cost free agents, and then he put in parentheses like Zach Bond, to prioritize competitive longevity. So diving right in with the deep stuff here. I'll take this one first and give Johnny a second to think. For me, it's develop players through the draft and low-cost free agents. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl without Myles Garrett, and though they're likely going to lose Josh Sweat, and we're going to get into that later, he's not even close to Myles Garrett. They can win the Super Bowl as is. They just did it. And so I don't want to mortgage the future for somebody like Garrett. I want to continue to draft, continue to extend that competitive window, because I think as long as you can keep the core of the roster together, this team is a Super Bowl contender every year. And bringing in someone like Garrett would jeopardize that core of the roster a couple years down the road. So it would be unbelievable to have him and Jalen Carter on the same defense, but I'm very out on trading lots of draft picks to mortgage the future and go get somebody else now. And that's not just because I also have to cover the draft, and it would be really boring to do so without a first-round pick. So what about you, Johnny?
Yeah, we said we'd be nice and quick on these, and this one's probably a little bit longer, but I will be brief. I disagree with you, actually. I'm all about like windows in sports, and I think the Eagles probably have a 2 to 3 year window. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to suck in 4 years, but I look at like Lane Johnson, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown. They're not going to be doing this in 4 years' time for the Eagles, realistically. So I think the Eagles are an elite team. And the question mentioned Zach Ball and Myles Garrett, and you went down the Myles Garrett a little bit too much, I think, when the premise of the question was basically trading for top talent or basically at the cost of the future. Yes, I would. If you could offer me like another Super Bowl in the next 3 years, maybe a Super Bowl appearance, a couple of NFC titles, I think you go for it. I think this team is so stacked. I've seen the Eagles window for a long time as like basically how long Lane Johnson plays. I was moaning last year about people talking about drafting a tackle in the first, and I repeatedly said, no, he's not going to retire soon. And even now he seems, by the way, I think we got that one right. It seems like even now, though, some people are talking about he might do many years. So I'm all for going all out, I would say. I'm in like a 2 to 3 year window because I think that's how long Lane's got. I guess Barkley's got 2 years left on his deal. AJ Brown's, 27, 28? So yeah, I'm okay with going for it the next couple of years. And if that means a rebuild in 4 or 5 years, I'm sort of okay with that. I would just add as well on the Garrett point, it'll probably come up in another question, but if they do make that move, just wait till that film show because he is unbelievable. Anyone who is a skeptic, just... that guy is incredible. Like him and Carter on the same line would be ridiculous. So I think the Eagles will look into it. But anyway, I'm a little bit different to you. I'm okay going for it the next couple of years. And I'm probably less of a draft guy than you have been the past few years. So that might be why.
Yeah, I don't see it as like a binary push the chips in to go for another Super Bowl or continue to, because I think the Eagles roster as is, like I think they, and we'll get into guys that are going to walk, but I think you can let Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, and Mekhi Becton all walk, and you're still a Super Bowl favorite next year. And so I just think you can
save it for the questions, Zane. Save it for the questions.
Okay,
that's definitely
we'll
going to come up again.
Okay, so question 2 comes from. I said I was last show. I said I was going to figure out how to pronounce this one before the next one. Kaigela said, "I suspect
Legend.
You may have already covered it, but if not, would you share your Eagles origin story of how you ended up fan?" So we have talked about that before, but let's put it officially here on the record, Johnny. Tell everybody how you became an Eagles fan.
Yeah, my story is really weird, I guess. So we'll do the quick... I'm going to say this a lot, basically, but we'll do a quick summary of everything because we've got loads today. So some of them will be very short. I got my best mate growing up watched NFL. His parents watched it, and I was always a bit like, what the hell is American football? Who cares? 09 season, he started really getting into it. So as you do, when your friend's watching something, you sort of get into it. I bought Madden, I think it was 09 or Madden 10. It was the year before the Eagles went to the championship game against the Cardinals. That was my first year watching. And I got Madden. And I looked at all the teams that I liked the logos. The Eagles was cool. I looked at all the teams that were 8-8. The Eagles were cool. So I wanted to pick an 8-8 team because that's just me as a sports fan. I don't want to support the best team or the worst team. I wanted to sort of ride and die with someone in the middle. And then I think the coolest thing was there was a football player I really liked at the time called Andy Reid, and the Eagles head coach was Andy Reid. So I was like, this is all adding up. And then, on Madden, when you used to click on the game, they used to have the loading screen and it would give you a fact. like a random fact. And I think it said that Philadelphia Eagles' first ever live TV game or something, or first game, anyway, whatever the fact was, it was the 22nd of October, which happens to be my birthday. So I was like, all the signs are that I have to be an Eagles fan. So it took me about 5 minutes of playing Madden, literally about 5 minutes. And then I've never changed since. Bought a few jerseys, and once you bought the McNabb jersey, and once you bought all the DVDs of the old stuff, and then that was it. I was in for good. And I'm very lucky, actually, that I picked a East Coast team. I didn't think about that, but that makes my watching experience a lot better. If I had supported a West Coast team, I didn't realize at the time, obviously, what a difference that would have made. But yeah, supporting an East Coast team for a Brit makes a lot of sense. So that is my story.
Just think, if you had had a different Madden loading screen in 2009, we wouldn't be doing this podcast together,
it's
Johnny.
A strange world,
it's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, did it stick out to you that the Eagles logo is the only one that faces left?
Yeah, people have said that. No, it didn't at all. And also, I was an Arsenal fan, so I didn't want to go for another red. I could have gone for a red because red was technically my sports colour. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go for something new, and I couldn't support a team with blue because they're all my football rivals in the UK. So like, no one wears green, like in the Premier League. So green is like, there's no anti-greenness in my sporting watching mode. So there we go.
All right. Well, Edgar chiming in here said that he's talked about this in the Discord, but he became an Eagles fan because the Eagles were his favorite bird, and nobody in his family watched football, so he didn't inherit fandom. Not grew up. I still live in Oklahoma, and there's no football team in Oklahoma, and so the closest team is the Cowboys, but I never liked the Cowboys. I just liked players, and so the first team I ever liked was the 49ers because I liked Steve Young and Jerry Rice. And, I remember watching the Monday Night Football game as a kid where Steve Young got the concussion that ended his career. That was devastating. I stuck with them for a while with the Jeff Garcia years, and I liked J.J. Stokes and Garrison Hurst and some of those guys, but eventually, all the players that I liked in San Francisco weren't there anymore, so I migrated to the Titans because I liked Steve McNair and Eddie George. Eventually, they left, and I kind of migrated to the Eagles because of Westbrook and Dawkins, and I thought I would probably be done when they left, and for whatever reason, the Eagles just stuck. I don't know if it was because I was older or whatever. Nobody in my family was a fan of any of those teams. My dad was a Dolphins fan, but the Dolphins were never a team I navigated towards. And it has been funny now to see, with Jalen Hurts being the face of the Eagles, and obviously he came from Oklahoma, that there is starting to be an influx, and I'm sure them being good doesn't hurt, but there has been an influx of Eagles fans in Oklahoma, but I'm still tremendously surrounded by Cowboys and Chiefs fans. And so, it's nice to win the Super Bowl over the Chiefs, and it's nice to just make fun of the Cowboys all the time. So I currently have bragging rights in Oklahoma over the other football teams.
Yeah, you live in a cool place to be an Eagles fan right now then, don't you?
I do. Edgar chimed in. Lane Johnson went to Oklahoma too. Yeah, so that's actually Lane Johnson getting drafted top 5 by the Eagles is when I figured out I had no clue what I was watching when I watched offensive line play. Because I watched every OU game, and I knew he was good, but when he went, and that wasn't in the same era of draft coverage. It wasn't so accessible, and I would watch the draft, but I didn't scout things. Obviously, I was a lot younger then. But when he went top 5, I was like, "Whoa, he's that good!" And there was a center, and I cannot remember his name, that was on that same team that I thought was phenomenal, and he went in the 6th or 7th round, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how offensive line play works, and that kind of started me down the rabbit trail of draft scouting.
Cool.
So there's the story. Let's keep rolling. Question number 3. We're going outside of the Eagles here. It asks, why do you think, this comes from Sydney, by the way, why do you think Kyle Shanahan has not won a Super Bowl, even though he's widely considered a top 2 coach? Johnny, you want to go first on this one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, good question. I'll keep it very short and sweet. QB play has not been top, and I think Shanahan's approach to offense means that he would rather a QB that does what he says rather than a QB that can make magic happen. And I think Trey Lance was meant to be that, now was the next one that basically he's going to do his own thing as well as run the system, and it just completely failed. They took a horrible gamble on a guy that played such a limited amount of snaps. Quarterback is one, and number two, it's really, really, really hard. That's really boring, but lots of great players haven't won because there's only so many teams that can win big games every year, only so many great players that can win every year. And number three, I don't think he's great at game management. I think his game management is pretty poor, and obviously the famous Falcons Super Bowl when he was an OC. I just think in general, his game management lets him down at times. I think as a schematic guy, he is as good as it gets. He is outstanding, but there are consistent flaws that seem to limit his team every single year. So yeah, that'd be my short answer as to why.
Yeah, Super Bowls are tremendously difficult to win. His Super Bowl quarterbacks have been Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Brock Purdy. And so it makes it much harder to win when those are your quarterbacks and not Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I don't think Kyle Shanahan will ever win a Super Bowl because of what you said. Like, he wants a quarterback that he can mind control, and that's just the pathway to win a Super Bowl with a guy like that is very, very narrow. It's basically Tom Brady, who was the greatest quarterback of all time until Patrick Mahomes showed up. And Tom Brady's not walking through that door. I think Kyle Shanahan is a great X's and O's guy. I think he's really bad in game management, like you said, and that's been over numerous years. He's got to change that. And I also think he kneecaps the development of his players by it being so easy to get a guy in the doghouse and just write him off completely. I struggle to see. I think Kyle Shanahan will always be seen as a top 2 to 3 coach, and I don't think he'll ever win a Super Bowl unless he radically changes his scheme and his approach.
Yeah, I wouldn't say scheme, but I'd say approach. I agree with you. Yeah, good question there. Good question.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the next one. Andrew, he asked this one to me, but we can both answer it. He said, Shane, you recently said that 12 is the lowest any reasonable person could rank Jalen Hurts out of quarterbacks. Who are the 11 that you think could be credibly put above him? So, Johnny, I'll give you...
Should we do this together? Seeing as we both sort of love-hate rankings as well. Yeah. Right, so I am literally running through them. The obvious ones that we'd agree on are Lamar, Josh Allen, and Pat Mahomes, yeah? Yeah, they're the obvious three. Yeah.
Those three must be above Hurts. If you have Hurts above any of those three, I think you're being biased. I would also squeeze Burrow in there. I
would squeeze Burrow in as well.
I think Burrow as well. I could see an argument to put Hurts over Burrow, but I think you're seeing a lot of things through Eagles-colored glasses if you do that. So to me, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow must be above Hurts. I
don't think anyone else has to be above, in my opinion. I think I think the next tier is huge, basically. I think it's like a massive second tier.
Let me give you names and tell me if you disagree with any.
As in, you have to put them above him, or they're in the same bracket?
My next tier is guys that you can reasonably put ahead of him.
Yep.
You can also put him behind him. I personally would have him in like the 6 to 8 range. But
I think I'm in the same. Yeah, I think I'm similar. Yeah.
Guys that could reasonably be ahead of him: Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford.
Fine. Yeah.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah, see, Dak's... I put Dak below him. I put Dak below Herbert. And
I would, but I think you could make an argument.
But I think you can reasonably make an argument. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I struggle with young players, but yeah, you can reasonably argue it. Okay.
Agreed. Trevor Lawrence.
No, I don't accept that. Personally, I think you have to rank Trev below him. So
I personally would, but...
Yeah. I'm not even sure you can make an argument based on their current film. I think if you do that, you're looking at college film massively as well. And fair enough. At a stretch, I'll count him as one of the 11.
I guess I would not discredit an analyst and say they don't know what they're looking at if they have Trevor Lawrence ahead of Hurts. I disagree with it, but I think you could argue it. I think it's a poor argument, but I think you could. Jaden Daniels, which it's 1 year. 1 year is hard, but if you have to rank guys, I think you could reasonably put him up there. And then my other one is Jordan Love. Those are the ones that I think are reasonably in that tier, and I would have Hurts in the 6 to 8
I wouldn't have Daniels there. I think Daniels might be unbelievable. I just think give it time. You never know. Sure. NFL defensive coordinators are very good at their job, and they can pick holes in it. I'd have Hurts above the majority of you mentioned. Yeah, Jordan Love's tricky as well, man. I think Love might be the most talented, but I don't think he's got it together. Right. I would have all the young guys below him, like Stroud and Daniels. The other ones I'd consider. So you're saying those are the 11 that you can reasonably have him, basically. And if you put Hurts below that list, then you think there's bias involved.
Yes. Yeah.
The only two others I would consider as well is Goff. I do think Jared Goff. He's not God, sadly. Otherwise, he would have won a Super Bowl by now. You can reasonably put him, I think, around or in the same bracket. And maybe Geno and Mayfield, but they're probably a tier below. I agree. I think if you have him above like 15, then you're just biased, basically. You're not really analyzing what's there. Yeah. I think you're right. Anything below 12 or 13, I think you're maybe 14 if you really, really, really want to be at a stretch and basically say, like, philosophically, the way I see the position, even though I think I'm wrong, I'm just going to say this anyway. I'd put Hurts at 14, for example. Anything below that, and I think you're being stupid, basically. I think you're not watching real footage. Like, if you're putting guys like Darnold and Purdy, Kyler Murray, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, those guys should never, ever be above him on any tier list.
Yeah.
We should do a QB rankings episode in the off season. We'll figure out how to do it properly. But like, we'll come up with like a scenario system or something, maybe, because that's the kind of way I like doing it.
Yeah.
Like, if you asked me now, and I said this on the podcast, who do I want as my quarterback for the Eagles next season? I struggle to pick anyone other than Hurts in this current scenario. But I do think there is a clear tier one that I think is Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. I agree with you. Then I think you could put Hurts anywhere between maybe 5 and 11. I maybe wouldn't count Trevor Lawrence in that list, so I'd go between 5 and 11. But yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. Very fair enough.
So there you have it, everyone. That is a preview of our Patreon mailbag, and you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/ontheshane page. We have a $3 and a $5 a month tier. The $3 a month tier gets you access to our mailbags, to our Discord, and to a lot of other things. Our $5 a month also is going to get you exclusive video episodes throughout the off season and throughout the regular season next year. And so, you know, we dive into many more questions, 20 more questions on this whole show. We talk about building a best team using players from the Eagles' last 3 Super Bowls. We talk about what our 40 times might be, who we would have voted for Super Bowl MVP, some background on the tush push, and how many pieces every other NFC East team is away from Super Bowl contention. So you can find all of that in our Patreon, in the $3 or $5 a month club. And again, you can join that for a free 1-week trial. We think you'll really like what you see, and it's a great way to support our show. So come check it out, and we hope to see you in the Discord.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Whether it's a movie night or just midday, Skinny Pop is a salty snack that keeps on giving. Made with just 3 simple ingredients for an irresistibly delicious taste and a large serving size that lasts. Deliciously popped, perfectly salted. Skinny Pop, popular for a reason. Shop Skinny Pop now.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit. at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.